Okay, so we're going to go in depth about exactly how Moira's healing works, what stacks, what doesn't, and also how to explain the HOT concept of Moira healing. Now, the first thing to understand is that Moira has what I like to call 4 healing signatures. In other words, there's 4 different sources of healing that Moira can output, some of which can overlap, some of which cannot. Now, on the left side of your screen, you're going to be seeing a string of numbers. Now, what these numbers are the rapid instances of healing that is done when you're utilizing a healing capability, whether that's your spray, heal over time, your ult, or your orb. Now, it can be difficult when looking at these numbers to ascertain exactly how Overwatch applies them. I know whenever something says something per heals per second, instead of it just being a raw number, it's actually rapid instances of that number over the course of time. In other words, if I were to just spray this Roadhog, he would be receiving 20 applications of 4 healing over the course of that 1 second. And that's going to be carrying over to every instance of healing in this game when it comes to Moira. The orb, the coalescence, and the heal over time. Rapid instances of healing to match the healing per second number that's put in the wiki. Now, it's important to note this because you can actually see the sources of the healing based off of the numbers on the left. In other words, the number 4 is something unique to the healing spray itself. The number 3.12 is unique to the heal over time coming from when the spray is done. In other words, if I watch the string of numbers on the left and I only see a bunch of 4s stringing down, then I know that the heal over time is not in effect, because if the heal over time was in effect, I would also see 3.12s mixed in with a 4. And the same goes for with the orb and coalescence, which we'll demonstrate in a second. Now, the first thing that we have to do before we actually test this is to explain exactly how much healing each instance does. Now, first off, as I mentioned earlier, the heal spray, in other words, just holding down primary fire, will heal 80 HP per second. So 80 heals per second. 20 instances of 4 will string down the left side of our screen every 1 second. The heal over time, which is, in other words, you spray and then you stop, the heal over time kicks in, and that's going to be 65 health over 4 seconds. And that's going to be applying itself over 4 seconds, so that's going to be 16.25 healing every single second. And then the next one is going to be the Biotic Orb, which is 75 HP per second, 75 heals per second. And then the last one is going to be the Coalescence, which is 140 healing per second. And some of these stack and some of these don't, and we're going to talk about which ones stack. Now, I do want to give a big shout out to my good friend Cactus, who took the time to create this workshop mode to demonstrate this. This is a really, really cool opportunity to kind of test this and sort this thing out and find out exactly how Moira's healing works. So shout out to Cactus. Thank you, Cactus. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started here. The couple of questions that I had was, and we'll kind of go down the list, is does the heal over time stack, and does it at the very least stack with the spray? In other words, the heal over time is when I do damage to this target, I spray, and now you're going to watch on your left side of your screen, 3.12, 3.12, 3.12, 4, 3.2, and bang. So there's a couple instances of 4, and that's when I was just, the brief second that I was just holding on primary fire. But once that ended, the instant it ended, you're going to see a 2.08. And that's the begin of the heal over time, which then cranks all the way through. And if you added all these numbers, you should get 65. Now, the question was, does that actually stack with the spray? In other words, if I wanted to output my healing or maximize my healing, could I, start my HOT and then mash down primary fire and then heal at the same time? So I get the heal over time, doing the 65 healing over 4 seconds, and the 80 heals per second. And while it would be awkward to actually crunch the numbers and do the math, there's a really easy way to test this, because as we said, there are number signatures. In other words, that you're only going to see 3.12, 2.86, yada, yada, yada. You're only going to see that when the heal over time is applied, and you're only going to see 4 when just the heal spray is applied. That's how the healing is calculated. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit awkward because right now the chain of numbers only goes until so long here. So I'm going to damage him down. I'm going to start my heal over time. There's a heal over time numbers, 3.12, and then I'm going to spray. No more 3.12. 3.12 resumes, no more 3.12. 3.12 resumes, no more 3.12. And you're not going to see a single instance of 3.12 any time between the 4s. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us something pretty significant. It tells us that no matter how many times you try, or how hard you try, the heal over time will never stack with the spray. In other words, if I start spraying, the heal over time effect that I've applied from before is immediately canceled. So not only is it impossible to stack heal over time effects, as we'll see here, heal over time started, heal over time started, the healing over time isn't increasing. Not only does it not stack, the second that you spray, it cancels the heal over time and refreshes it. So the heal over time is only applied when you release the primary fire and then ends either at the end of the 4 seconds or when you press primary fire again. In other words, if I start the heal over time here, it keeps going until 4 seconds completes or until I start spraying again, in which case it resets itself. Kind of like Brigitte's Inspired, where it'll always refresh itself if you stop spraying and start spraying again and again. So there's no way to get more, at least with your spray, there's no way to get more than 80 heals per second. And this is important because it can tell you right now that yes, you could use your heal over time to be efficient with your resource. I think that's a great way to do something. In other words, I can quite literally heal up this Roadhog using almost no resource over the course of about 8 seconds by just puffing, and just letting the heal over time do a lot of the work for me. It's a good way to conserve your healing resource. But if I'm looking to just pocket my Roadhog and put out as much healing as possible, trying to, toy with the heal over time is completely useless. You should just be mashing down primary fire all the way through, because anything less than that is going to reduce your healing output, because the heal over time and the healing spray does not stack. However, that's not where it ends. There is multiple instances of stacking in Roadhog. So first off, if we look at the healing signature of our orb, the healing signature of our orb is going to be a bunch of 12.148s, which is kind of what we expect, because the 75 healing per second, it's a lot of healing. As it bypasses again, 12.48. So that's the unique healing signature of the orb. So what I could do here is I can start the heal over time, and you're going to see 3.12 and 12.48 mixing up between each other. So what that means is that the heal over time and the healing orb can stack. In addition to that, we can test it with the actual, I'm going to get a new Roadhog. We can actually stack the hard spray, so just the primary fire without the heal over time, and the orb at the same time. So our signature for the spray is 4, remember, and the orb is 12.48. So I'm going to launch my orb and then spray. 12.484, 12.484, 12.484. And if you do the math there, as long as the orb is on the target, that's on 155 healing per second, 75 plus 80. So we can already see that orb plus heal over time from the primary fire, or just the primary fire itself, stacks. And then if you did the math there, it'd be with the heal over time, 16.25 healing per second plus 75 would be 91.25 healing per second, or 155 healing per second if you just did the primary fire spam. So that's good to know. But then there's one other source of healing that we have to consider, and that is the ult, which is 140 healing per second. Now, unfortunately, I don't have spawn with ult available right now, so we're going to have to do this quickly. The ult signature is going to be 26.88 healing per second. Okay, so that's the healing signature for the ultimate. Okay, so as we already said, the healing signature for Coalescence is 26, approximately a little over 26 healing. So whenever you see a 26 on our little numbers feed there, our string of numbers, it is going to be from Coalescence that you're going to be seeing. So let's actually see if the H over T and Coalescence stack, which we anticipate it will. So I'm going to boink down my Roadhog a little bit. I'm going to spray, then coal. Looking for 3.12. There is a 3.12. You see it? You see it? 26.88 and 3.12. So we've confirmed that heal over time and Coalescence stack. So we see that coal and heal over time stack. Now the question, does orb and coal stack? Now we know the signature for coal is 26, and we know the signature for orb is 12. So we're going to damage down our Roadhog. We're going to heal orb into a Coalescence and see if we see both numbers popping up in our feed. So E, left click, Q. 12, 12, 26, 12, 26, 12, 26, 12, 26. You can see it before the orb bounces away, that we have the instances of 12 and 26 combined, so clearly orb and Coalescence stack when it comes to healing output. Now the question comes, because obviously we can't primary fire our spray and coal at the same time, so we know that can't possibly stack, but can the heal over time, Coalescence, and orb stack? Let's find out. Okay, so this one's going to be tough because we have to spray, orb, coal as quickly as possible. And remembering the signature for coal is 26, the signature for our orb is 12, and the signature for our heal over time is 3.12. So we're going to try and do this as quickly as possible. Look for 3.12, 12, and 26 to be mixed in. We're going to damage down our Roadhog just a little bit, and then we're going to get started. Spray. There's the 3.12, see it? There, this is what we needed to see. 3.12, 12.48, and 26.88 all mixed in together. So we could see maximizing your healing output on a single target. You can start your heal over time, orb, and then coalescence. Now let's do the math here. Coalescence, as we said, is 140 healing per second. Our heal over time is 16.25, so that's going to be 156.25 healing per second. And then with the orb, that's 75. So if we make things simple for ourselves, that's going to be 231.25 healing per second on a single target for the 4 seconds that the heal over time is active anyway. So very interesting to know. One other thing I do want to talk about, a little bit more of a simple, I guess in comparison to what we've run, tip, but most people don't know this, is that the heal over time is applied like Inspire regardless of what HP the target is. So in other words, if I spray my target, that's not useless. What actually I did is apply a healing over time effect that still has 4 seconds duration. So even though this target didn't get the full 65 healing, it's because he wasn't able to receive damage during that 4-second window. However, what you can do is you can spray your targets every 4 seconds whenever you're in range or near the time of an engagement. So if I spray my target 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds and I damage him, nothing happens, right? But that's because the heal over time is expired. So you can refresh it every 4 seconds. And look at that. The second he takes damage, the healing's done. Even if he's full HP. Because I'm refreshing my heal over time spray every 4 seconds. So if you're like nearing an engagement, you can spray your teammates once every 4 seconds. It doesn't take any resource really at all. It generates instantly. And then you're kind of pre-hotting or pre-heal over timing your teammate, but leading up to the engagement. Last couple things we'll talk about, pretty simple stuff, just to kind of wrap it up. First off, you cannot spray through barriers or shields, but you can apply a heal over time, and then if that target walks through the barrier, the heal over time will kick in. So in other words, if I heal my Roadhog, if spraying my Roadhog and he walks through the Reinhardt barrier or the Winston bubble, it'll end the spray effect, the 80 healing per second, but the H over T will kick in once he stops receiving the spray. So you can do that. You can also orb through barriers, and you can coalescence and heal through barriers as well. The last thing we'll talk about in terms of resource management is that rapidly tapping a right click does regenerate your resource faster, and you can maximize this by utilizing a scroll wheel trick, which I posted earlier on Reddit a little while back, where basically I attach my secondary fire to scroll wheel and go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And you can see the resource generating faster than it would be if I just held down right click. I did the math, and it's approximately I want to say 30% faster. I don't remember the exact number, but it's about 30-35% faster than normally just mashing down your secondary fire. It does contribute or hurt your damage output. So if you're looking to kill a target, I do not recommend using scroll wheel or rapidly tapping your right click, because it does reduce the amount of damage that you put out significantly. But if you're looking just to generate a little bit of a healing resource off a tank, then definitely recommend either tapping or using your scroll wheel. So this is a little bit of a Mythbusters in terms of the heal over time effect. We know, of course, that the spray cancels the heal over time effect, so there's no way to actually stack spray and heal over time, and there's no way to stack your heal over times on top of each other. So that's useful to know. However, I don't want you to take this as like, oh, the heal over time is not very useful, I just need to be utilizing your spray. Well, the heal over time is useful because not only does it pre-hot teammates who might take damage in the future, as we already talked about, but it's also incredibly important in terms of conserving your resource. If you want to be, if my Roadhog's taking chip damage here, I should not be doing this. Big mistake I see a lot of Moiras making. Instead, to conserve your resource, it should be doing this. We should be puffing, and that's all he needs. Like, that's all he needs. If your team is taking chip damage, please stop mashing primary fire. Conserve your resource. You get the most out of that heal over time effect, not just when your teammates are leading up into fights, but when your teammates are taking chip damage and things like that, or between fights. Even if my Roadhog is like critical and we're between a fight, no enemies around, I don't need to be doing this. Look at my resource. Zero reason to do that. Instead, do this. Puff. Let the heal over time, kind of go for a little bit. Puff. Let the heal over time, go for a little bit. I keep puff. Let me heal over time, go for a little bit. Puff. Heal over time. You can do it every 4 seconds if you want to min-max it, but I'm not quite min-maxing it. And you can see that my resource is actually going up. And that's crucial because I'm in no rush. Like, he's going to get healed up either way. I'm still getting ult charge, and look at my healing resource. Instead of going down, it's actually gone up. And so that's very important to know. So, hope that answers all your questions. If you have any other questions, please let me know in the comments, and you have a good one.